I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Southwest Magazine. For over 20 years, Paddlefest has kicked off summer a little early for St. Andrews. The Music and Outdoor Festival now attracts visitors from across the Maritimes. I'm joined today by organizers Luke MacDonald and Dani Deonarine. Luke, can we start off by talking about Paddlefest and when it originated and what it's evolved into now?
Sure. So Paddlefest has been happening here in St. Andrews for almost 25 years. It was started in the mid-1990s by Jamie Steele and Bruce Smith, and always incorporated music and some kayaking and canoeing and some beach cleanups and some sort of conservation efforts for the Bay of Fundy and Passamaquoddy Bay. And it's kind of evolved from there into a 4-day multi-venue music and outdoor recreation festival. And it's hosted every long weekend in May. So the dates for 2019 are May 16th through the 19th.
How long have you been the creative director?
So I've been involved for 6 years now, and it's kind of changed hands a few times, and I came on a few years ago and have been kind of, involved ever since. In more so the music side of things, that's kind of my side, yeah.
With you at the helms, what have been some of the big feats in terms of booking acts in previous years?
I mean, yeah, we've been lucky. We're a pretty small festival overall, but we've been lucky to get some big names and get some acts that have been really exciting and maybe something new. Acts like the Bar Brothers was a big act for us to get, and people like Joe Plaskett and yeah, just a lot of names. And through the years, Paddlefest has really been able to be a starting point for a lot of musicians in the Maritimes and around Canada. Matt Anderson played small shows at Paddlefest years ago, and David Miles. So that's a big part of the festival too, is encouraging and showcasing up-and-coming artists and emerging artists from New Brunswick and from the East Coast. So that's a big part, and that's probably for me one of the most rewarding parts, because you get to showcase these acts to maybe a larger audience.
Now, before we get into this year's lineup, Dani, you are spearheading the outdoor side of things this year. So how are you carrying on the torch from previous years? What are some of the events and activities people can take part in?
Yeah, definitely. So myself, along with Erica Harvey, have been co-coordinators of the outdoor activities for, this will be our second year together. And Luke was saying there's a lot of events that have started since Paddlefest was created. One in particular is the Deer Island Paddle. So that one's really special because Bruce Smith runs it every year, and he was one of the founders of Paddlefest. And so that one is really neat because Bruce started it to raise awareness about just how beautiful the area is, and so it's really neat to be able to keep showing people how gorgeous Passamaquoddy is and how much it needs to be protected.
So in an event like that, is that something where anyone can take part in it? Do they meet on Deer Island? Or?
That one in particular we would classify as an intermediate kayaking event. So it would be good to have some experience because you are doing open water sea kayaking. So that one would leave Deer Island and you paddle all the way, and that one's on Thursday.
Is it a BYO kayak?
Yeah. There's two options. So there is an option to rent a kayak through registration, and there is an option to bring your own kayak.
Are there things for novices as well? Let's say like Definitely. A hike or something that's a little less open ocean?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So if you're looking to just get out and enjoy some nature around Charlotte County, there are hikes. There's one going on at the Kahi-Taylor Nature Preserve, and that is on Sunday. We also have the Dusty Fin Dive, and that's going on Saturday, as well as an introduction to dragon boating. So that'll be really fun. That'll be hosted by the St. Andrews Paddling Club, a new club in town, and that one will be a dragon boating clinic, and that one's really exciting because Pat Barker is a national coach of a dragon boating team, or she was, and so she's giving a clinic now, and she'll be doing a lot of exercises, and so it's a chance to get out on the water and try a new sport out.
Dragon boating might be coming to the area on a more permanent basis, so it might be a good way to try it out if you're interested in making it more of a long-term hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a bit about your background, Dani? Because I know you're an academic, so you're quite an expert on the outdoors around this area in particular. So what did you study, what did you do, and what are, because of that, some of the things you think people should check out at this year's Paddlefest?
Definitely. So I am a marine and freshwater biologist. I came to the area to work on my master's. I study lobsters. This area is really special, and I'm originally from Ontario. I've been in St. Andrews for 3 years now, and because of the fact that we have the bay so close, as well as a lot of fresh water around here, you get a lot of diverse species. You see a lot of different birds, different insects, and they kind of call St. Andrews this little micro bubble of a climate because it's nice and warm, it stays really well insulated, and so that lends to a really neat ecosystem around here.
Do you have any favorite sites of your own that may or may not be involved in some of the events?
But yes, definitely, for sure. Sam Orr's Pond is one of my favorites, so that's going to be, that's part of the Cahi-Taylor Nature Preserve. I'm not sure which side of it they'll do this year, but hiking out to Berry Point is always a really lovely spot. Minister's Island is also a really great place to hike around, and that one we do have the Kyoga, so that's kayaking and yoga on Saturday.
Do you find, Luke, that the people that do the outdoor stuff are often also at the late night music events too?
Yeah. I mean, I think the goal of the event overall on both the music side and the paddling side and the community side is something for everyone. You know, and this year we're trying to bring that up with a lot more paddling events for people for varying skill levels, you know. So that's an important part, and I think there's some mix between that crowd, people that will come down for the weekend, partake in the events, and then enjoy some music at night or in the evenings, and that's what we want. I mean, the event really is a celebration of this place, of New Brunswick and St. Andrews and the Bay, and really showcasing what we have here and how special it really is. So.
I kind of blame it on the hipster in Brooklyn, but do you think there is this sort of renaissance of small town life with younger generations?
I hope so. That's something I think is important for sure. You know, I think for towns and for communities to keep growing, young people do have to, you know, stay in communities and build them up with respect to where they've been and where they're going, and absolutely, I think that's important for sure.
From the looks of the lineup, a lot of acts come back year after year. What do you think it is about the festival that draws musicians back? And can you then tell us a little bit about this year's lineup and one of the main acts who will be returning?
Sure. So we try and strike a balance between acts that maybe have played before and bring in some new acts that haven't played. And I think that shows, you know, the love that a lot of musicians and artists have for this area. They love to come back, and hopefully they love the festival and what we bring, you know, small festival, but we think we treat our artists well, we like to think, and we treat our audience well. You know, it's a small festival and you're really intimate, you know, shows are intimate and you can really engage with the artists. So this year we have, you know, 40 plus artists from across Canada, primarily from the East Coast and primarily from New Brunswick, which is a goal every year to have a focus on homegrown talent for sure. Some of our headliners this year include Hannah Georges, who is a Juno-nominated indie songwriter, and she's really great, strong vocals, strong performer. A band called the Deep Dark Woods, who are Juno-nominated recently as well. Sort of Americana folk rock that's really great. And kind of this year, a big addition to this year is a show at the Kira Amphitheatre at Kingsbrae with William Prince, who's a songwriter from Saskatoon, as well, of course, as Joel and Bill Plaskett. So that's Joel Plaskett and his father who will be playing together. And Joel's a great example of somebody who played before that, you know, we were able to bring back. And I think he really enjoyed himself last time. And I think him and his dad playing together is really special. It'll be really great at the amphitheater. So we're very excited for that as well as everything else.
How did you approach him to return?
I mean, I just reached out to him and his management, and they were very keen to come back, I think, And he appreciates, you know, he gets the size and scope of and what Paddlefest is trying to do. You know, we're not a big city festival. We're not a festival, you know, that can kind of compete at that level. But that's what I think is special about Paddlefest, is that we can kind of be small and even as a massive addition as the amphitheater is, it's still, I think, going to be fitting with what Paddlefest and what St. Andrews is. With, you know, these artists can really engage directly with the audience, and that's something, you know, we put up a lot of our acts at the Algonquin or at Salty Towers or Seaside Beach Resort, or, you know, all the great accommodations in the area, you know, so they really get a good hometown feel. They get, you know, they get treated well, and we have we have local chefs cook them meals, and we have local craft beer and cider for them, and so that's a part of the festival we really enjoy. To treat the performers well and treat the audience well. The shops and everything open for the season, and the town really comes alive, so people can come down and enjoy the town during the day and enjoy some of the paddling activities and take in what Paddlefest in St. Andrews has to offer.
It's like you took Osheaga and transplanted it into a Hallmark movie.
Sometimes I do feel like town is definitely a Hallmark movie.
And it does kick off the town's tourist season in a lot of ways. Have you had a lot of good feedback from local businesses on the festival and what it brings to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always been a big goal. And I think that a lot of the town businesses, really appreciate that as kind of a official kickoff, and people open for the season that weekend, and restaurants are full, and shops are full, and accommodations are full. So,
do people offer up their space as venues or things that they offer?
And that's been a big part too. Is utilizing different businesses and attractions in town. So this year on Thursday we used to do a kickoff show at Kingsbrae. This year we're doing it at the Algonquin Resort, at the Van Hoor Ballroom, with a couple highly celebrated New Brunswick acts, the Hypochondriacs and the Olympic Symphonium, and a great singer-songwriter from Nova Scotia, Jenna Barry, and that'll be our kickoff show. So that starts everything off, and then of course the Kira Amphitheater is on Sunday, so that kind of closes the festival down. And we have a show on Minister's Island this year, and we have shows around town at Honeybeans and at the Red Herring and the Kennedy Inn and lots of different places around town. And we're doing a kid show at the Huntsman Aquarium on Saturday afternoon as well. So the show will be free, and then there'll be a discount on admission for Paddlefest pass holders to the aquarium, which is their opening day of the season as well. So things like that are important to us, to partner with local businesses and really celebrate the town and welcome the summer season, which I think especially this year we're all looking forward to. So yeah.
Paddlefest really has that old school festival vibe to it, in the sense that you look at Coachella and it looks great in photos, but the reality is that it's VIPs who get to go to a lot of the show, and everyone else is in long lines.
And that's not something we've thought about that, but that's not what Paddlefest is about. It's not, we don't want to, we just want to celebrate music the way it should be celebrated, and celebrate culture the way it should be celebrated, and celebrate nature the way it should be celebrated, and that's, rather than making it, over the top or,
Now, we're Canadian, so snow is always a possibility, right?
Oh, you
so
said the S word.
What happens? What happens if it snows? Am I still able to paddle with Bruce, or is he going to throw in the towel first?
So, depending on the event, we have a couple of rain times and locations. For our Deer Island paddle, we have since it's on Thursday, our rain time is on Friday, and kind of things like that, but we don't let a little bit of drizzle stop us. So come prepared.
Music festivals gave birth to glamping, so
of course.
That's true.
You should still do the beach cleanup.
Oh yes, the beach cleanup is on Sunday, and it's from 10 to 1, and that one's run by the Conservation Council of New Brunswick, and it is always really fun. Matt Abbott does a great job of running it every year, and it is so nice to be able to clean up a beach and look at that big trash bag full of garbage and be really proud that you kept that out of the oceans.
And that's a big part of this year, on top of the music and the celebration, is what's important going forward with climate change and with things like that. We're really trying to bring in some professionals who have some very important things to discuss, and we'll be releasing more information on that soon. But that's, we want to educate people as well as people have fun and enjoy themselves over the weekend. Hopefully they can take something away as well. That's a big part of it.
Do you find that music and, say, climate change outdoors, they do seem to go together to me, for anyone who thinks that they might be a weird pairing, because musicians are the first people to speak out against something that we need to take action on?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, music and art is a good voice to showcase ideas that sometimes maybe are challenging or maybe are difficult to showcase to everyone. It's just such a moving, there's so many factors into it. Typically, for a festival our size, we're not going to fly in Arcade Fire, that's not something we're able to do. But that's okay.
They could drive.
They could drive. That's true. But yeah, I mean, there's, it depends on who's on tour, who's active. A lot of bands will take time off if they're recording an album. So that's there's a lot of different factors that go into it.
And Joel Plaskett's a household name in Canada. I talked to him 2 years ago when he was here, and he said his favorite place to play is a small town because it is the event of the night. Like, everyone's going, and it just has a real, like, authentic feel of, like, this is what the whole community is doing. Or screaming about in their homes because they can hear it down the street, right?
I think that will definitely be it.
So do you find then that a lot of bands are looking to play somewhere like this? Because a lot of musicians, I would say evolution is feedback from the audience, and you can lose that in a bigger, sort of more sterile setting.
Absolutely.
Here it feels like a real community show, and there's not that distance between stage and crowd, right?
Absolutely, and that's something, I kind of actively seek out the acts that I think will appreciate that and came from that. I mean, most acts came up and struggled, so they appreciate that they can maybe go back to their roots a little bit by playing a smaller venue or a smaller stage than maybe they're playing. Somebody like Joel Plaskett has played across North America on big stages, but I think hopefully he enjoyed Paddlefest for that exact reason, because he enjoys those kind of shows more.
In my experience, I always found that Canadian bands they had that easygoingness of a sort of pre-Beatles band where they weren't really, like, overwhelmed by their own fame.
Right. Yeah.
That's
there's
sort of
there's a
lost in the
humbleness
States
and a
now?
modesty to Canadian acts, and I think
they don't bring their
especially
publicists.
especially East Coast acts. There's, and it's a small scene, but it's such a strong scene that it's great to be able to showcase some of those acts in the community.
Why do you think this part of the world nurtures such talented musicians in particular? I remember talking once to Burton Cummings about growing up in Winnipeg, and he said the isolation was a creative force.
Absolutely. I think that's part of it, and in the East Coast, driving to the next market to play, the next big city might be 4 or 5 hours, so you're very limited in terms of touring and stuff, but that makes you all the more creative, I think, on how you get out there and how you can be successful at it. So
if people want to volunteer, how do they get involved with the fest? How did you get involved, Dani?
I got involved unofficially 3 years ago because I was hanging out with Luke after one of the shows, and I started helping sweeping. So that was my unofficial volunteering. And then I quickly discovered that I would love to be a part of it. And so the next year I helped out with coordinating all the events. And if you're looking to get involved, there is a volunteer registration page on our website.
On the website.
Yeah.
Or you can.
What kind of volunteers do you look for? Everything from security to...
security, working the door, so taking tickets, selling merchandise for the bands and for Paddlefest merch, helping with hospitality, so helping with, making sure the bands are doing well. Green team is an important one, so helping kind of clean up and sorting recycling and garbage and stuff. That's a big part of the festival. There's lots of different jobs and different shifts for different people that may want to do something during the day or at night. And typically what we do for a shift is you get a ticket to one show of your choice and so on. So, we encourage people, it's a good way to come and enjoy some music and help out at the same time.
Do you think, Dani, that being in this part of the world where we have such a beautiful part of nature to live in, ocean and earth, that climate change feels more real to people and there is more of an impetus here to get involved? Because you can see that you can go to a meeting about where the water lines are going to be in 50 years from now, and it's a bit terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, even from my time spent out on the water, just in this area, you see the changes year to year much more prominently than you would in a city. So here you can see that from that rainfall event, that the water is coming up much higher than it was in years before, and you really notice that because you're much more connected. I think there's less kind of like outside noise, there's less people, you're more paying attention to your surroundings, and it puts it more at a forefront when you realize that things that you do can affect whether Water Street might one day really be underwater.
What I love about the festival is it is a celebration of music and nature, but it's also an awareness builder. You don't shy away from the harsh realities too. And as I wondered as academic, what are some of the signs that you're noticing that climate change is real? Is migration routes changing for the right whale, or even the lobster I've heard is going further and further north soon out of Maine in 50 years maybe?
I know, with ocean water temperature changing, and especially out in the bay here, Passamaquoddy Bay and the Bay of Fundy is such a closed system in a way. You know, we are open to the Atlantic Ocean, but because so much of the water and the currents remain inside the bay, they can be easily affected. So from year to year, we see differences in plankton levels, or there might be one animal present that wasn't there last year. And because the bay is so small, you really notice it, and you really see it if there's a species of jellyfish that start to come through, or if there's half the amount of porpoises that we would normally see in the bay. It is really prominent. There are so many people that are really hopeful and really working hard. There's going to be a nature open house event on Sunday, and that will give people, I think, a really good understanding and introduction to different nature and nonprofit organizations around the area that are doing different projects and are working to come up with creative solutions around some of these things. Some things like Parks Canada is going to come and talk about pollinators with us, and the Eastern Charlotte Waterways is going to come and talk about climate change and water levels. And so people are still really hopeful and really optimistic, and I think that's important. If you're concerned about it, that you should surround yourself with people like that, because it's not something that should scare us. It's something that should really drive your passion and inspire you to do stuff about it.
Now, I know we're highlighting Paddlefest as a small town festival, but do you find this part of the world has become such a go-to place for a lot of academics and people curious about what's going to happen with the world?
Definitely. I mean, we're in a really neat area. We have the St. Andrews Biological Station with the federal government. We have the Huntsman, that's a nonprofit that does research as well. I think we have a lot of really neat science happening in the area, and a lot of people talking about ways that they can really make a difference.
So can you tell me a little bit about some of the events that aren't necessarily nature oriented but are still about outdoorsy activities or sports?
Yeah, definitely. So one that I'm really excited about is Sunset Yoga, and that's going to be on Friday at the Blockhouse. It's sponsored by Lole this year. It's going to be taught by Jackie Walker. Really excited for that one because it's a nice chance to unwind and maybe recharge your spirit a little bit before you enjoy some evening festivities and enjoy that beautiful view from the Blockhouse, because that is absolutely stunning, especially at sunset time. It should be beautiful.
We don't need a spa mixtape here. We got one.
Yeah.
It's built in. We've talked a lot about some of the headlining acts, both music and paddling, but can you tell me about maybe some of the more obscure events that are going on over the weekend that you're excited about too? For instance, I know there's something going on for kids, right? If you were bringing the whole family to Paddlefest.
Yeah, so we're doing a kids show at the Huntsman Aquarium on Saturday afternoon. And so the performer will just be out on the lawn at Huntsman, and then the aquarium will also be open for its opening day. So, you know, that's a great family-friendly activity. We're doing lots of free programming around town as well during the day. And the Minister's Island show is free for kids 12 and under. The Kira Amphitheater show is free for kids 12 and under. And yeah, so lots going on. I mean, I'm really excited for a lot of the acts that are kind of playing, maybe you could say, the late night programming at the Red Herring and the Kennedy Inn. If you're a night owl and you enjoy some local live music, we have lots of music, you know, from everything from, you know, paddlers favorites like Ross Nielsen, who's been playing Paddlefest for years, to really like new emerging acts from across New Brunswick, like an act called Bloom and an act called The Backstays, and an act called Jamie Camo and the Crooked Teeth. So lots of things across the board, you know, something for everyone of different genres, different age groups. We really try and have a wide variety of acts, so yeah.
If a band or musician is at home right now watching you and wants to play either Paddlefest or you book acts throughout the year in town, how is the best way to reach you?
We have for bands that want to submit for next year, we have an application page on our website, so you can go there and just send in some links to your music. I think live videos are probably a big key, so if you have the opportunity to film some live videos to really showcase what your live show is about, that's an important part of the application process. And yeah.
Kira Amphitheatre at Kingsbury Garden was a huge addition to the town last year, and it's exciting that the first act playing there this year is at Paddlefest. Can you tell me a little bit about that opportunity and how it came about for you to open Kira Amphitheatre?
Yeah, that's really special for us. I mean, the amphitheater is obviously a great addition to the town, and it was very exciting to see, what's going to happen there over the years and what kind of artists they're going to be able to bring in. So that was, we had kind of talked with Brad Henderson at Kingsbury and Lucinda Flamer, and they were very generous to partner with us and be able to bring Paddlefest to the amphitheater. Is going to be really special, and it's a great way to wind down Paddlefest on the Sunday. Don't forget that Monday is a holiday, so if you're not sure if you can make it, Monday's a holiday. So come down and close off the festival with us at the amphitheater, and also kick off the season for them as well.
Now, last time Joel Plaskett was here, he was with his band, The Emergency. Mm-hmm. He's playing with his father. What's the difference in the style of music and what to expect?
So his father is a performer as well, so they, and I think obviously Joel was influenced by him, so I think it's a really special, intimate show between a father and a son where they play some of Bill's songs that he's written over the years, some of Joel's songs they played together. So it's going to be really special. I think, you'll hear some of Joel Plaskett's famous songs, you'll hear some of Bill's songs, and some surprises as well.
Joel Plaskett sold out in 2017 when he was here. Are you anticipating similar sellouts this year? And where do people get tickets in advance? Is it a festival pass? Can they buy individual events?
Right. So we have two different types of passes. We have the Ultimate Pass, which includes everything across the weekend, including the Kira Amphitheatre show. And we have the Main Stage Pass, which includes the main stage and some other programming across town. And there's tickets for all the individual shows available still online, and also at the Red Herring Pub. And there will be tickets at the door for most of the events as well, but we of course encourage people to buy early if you can, and help support the festival and help support the arts, and yeah.
And you have a lot of free events too, which really balances it out.
Yeah.
As far as the outdoor aspects, are a lot of the events free? Are there charges? I know you mentioned kayak rentals and fees for certain expeditions, but what are some of the...
So some of the events are free, like the big canoe run that Maritime Day Tripping and CKNB are putting on. And some of them do require a fee because there is a guide and somebody coming with their experience and all of their knowledge to come and hang out with us for the day. So all of the information for the events are on the Paddlefest website, and below each event there's also a registration link, so you can register and be all settled up, know all of the details like where to be and what to bring and who your guide is and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, there is always the email address. Myself or Erica will be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I know it's a long weekend festival, but you guys work hard on it all year. Well, I'm really looking forward to coming to this year's festival. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. This was great. Thanks, Vic.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.